All right, today's video is a throwback. We're going to be talking about one of the first schools we ever built back in 2013 with Pencils of Promise. So some of you guys might remember that back in 2013, I ran my first ultra marathon. I was actually challenged by a nonprofit called Pencils of Promise. They were running a campaign called the Impossible Ones, and they were looking around for people who do impossible things, bumped into me, and they were like, "Hey, Joel, we saw you ran a marathon. Have you ever thought about running an ultra marathon?" I was like, "No, that's stupid. Why would you do that? It's way too far. Seems like a bad idea." But then they're like, "Hey, what if you ran the ultra marathon and used that to raise money for charity?" And I was like, "I still don't want to do that, but now the kids are involved. It feels like it's a lot harder to say no." And so originally I was going to just try to raise like $10,000, and that would be enough to build a school classroom. But then they're like, "Joel, you run a blog called Impossible. You're supposed to do the hardest thing you can do." So they're like, "You should just build a whole school. It's like 25K. And I was like, "I have no idea how we're going to do that. It seems like way too much money, whatever." I'm in, went ahead, tried to figure out how to actually do the race, did that in Chicago. And somehow we ended up raising over $26,000 and building our first school. The race itself was in 2012, but in 2013, I was actually able to go down to Guatemala and see the school actually finished and built. I actually pulled up the old blog post I wrote on this, and we have all the details on all the schools we've done on impossible.org, but you can actually see this blog post up on my site back in 2013. This specific school was built in the Las Palmas village in the Boca Costa region of Guatemala. And previously, the old temporary classrooms that were kind of a little bit more than temporary were pretty run down and beat up. And afterwards, the new schools looked like this. I think there are 3 classrooms here. Big, bright, yellow on the outside, obviously. But there's a bunch of things about the school itself that was really interesting to me. I'm actually really mad about my photography skills here, but there's a couple things about these schools that make them really special. One is that you can see the windows are really, really big. And that's because a lot of times the electricity will go out in the villages. And if you have no light, it gets really, really dark, and the kids can't actually see anything inside. So it's really hard to have school. Another thing that was funny, because we showed up in rainy season, was that normally when it's raining out, it's so loud. It's so loud in the school, and it's like really, really hard for the kids to hear anything. So all the schools that we built had a noise reducing roofing system put on. So when you're in there, and we were in there when it's raining, and you can actually like hear the teachers talk, which sounds basic again, but stuff we take for granted. The other piece here is that this is what the schools would look like when it was raining out. When monsoon season would show up, like water was just everywhere. It's flooding all over the place. And again, in the new one, they just have like clear walkways, overhangs that protect the students, and all the water is gutters. So monsoon season has nothing on the school. Take that. Yeah, so that was school number 1 in Las Palmas. It was really, really impactful going down there and seeing it. And that's kind of what laid the groundwork for me to go out and start thinking about 777 a few years later. But I will talk about that in future videos. If you guys want to see more of the nonprofit stuff that we do, you can check it all out at impossible.org. The nonprofit that we work with here is called Pencils of Promise. They do great work around the world. And that's just like one of the small things that we do around Impossible that you may or may not have known about already. Guys, it's day 1,620 of getting sued by Impossible Foods. And for this reason and for a whole bunch more, we're going to keep going. So I'll see you tomorrow.